Hey everyone, welcome to Tracy's Tuesday Talks. I am your hostess, Tracy Latona of Golden Rose Financial Coaching, where I guide growth minded people who are stressed or anxious about their finances to conquer their money goals. And with me today is a very special guest, Ian Powell, with his company Financial Serenity, which is the same company that Seth Russ works for. So feel free to check out that video with Seth Russ, and he goes into investments and really, really cool tips and things that he wishes that you know. But with me today is Ian Powell with the same company. And Ian, I'm just so excited to have you here. Please introduce yourself and how you got Financial Serenity started.
Thank you, Tracy. I really appreciate this opportunity to hang out with you today and chat. I've appreciated our previous chats together, so thank you. And also a shout out to Seth. He is an awesome team member. So I will reiterate, go check out that episode. Um, I love Seth. So Financial Serenity was born out of a desire to really truly serve people where they are. Um, when you think of a wealth manager or a financial advisor or the 101 different terms that people call us, um, it can be really challenging to hire a financial advisor. It can be really challenging to know what you're getting. And so I wanted to be really simple and I wanted to meet the 99% of America that didn't think they needed or could afford a financial advisor. So while if you have $10 million, yes, we'd love to serve you as a client, but our goal is to serve the 99. Our goal is to go out and really meet people where they are and help them get to where they want to be. And my personal journey, I've worked for a very large broker dealer, and I've worked for another smaller RIA before starting my own. And I have nothing bad to say about them, but they did not fit the model that I was trying to create. And so, if you can't find it, go out and create it. And in today's market, um, it's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it is so worth it. So,
Mm. So what was different? What's different about what you wanted to offer to the 99? And I love that reference. So you're a believer, I'm a believer. When you say that, I think of the 99 that like Jesus left the 99 to go after the one, right? So you're serving the 99. I don't know, just my brain is just making that connection. So anyway, squirrel moment. What was it that was different about what you wanted to do that you were not able to serve in that capacity with these other advising firms?
sure. Before I answer that question, I want to, that 99 reference has certainly festered in my mind itself, and I can never quite get it to work. But it is certainly something that I'm trying to figure out how do I identify that because yes, I am going to go after the lost sheep also, but yeah, I haven't figured that out yet either. So when you go to a financial advisor, a lot of times they they have minimums that you need to show up to the table with in order to get good advice. And if you don't have that minimum, whatever it is, um, a lot of times the advice is, hey, go do it yourself, figure it out on your own. And once you've figured it out on your own, come back to me and I can help you. And there are a lot of reasons for that. It's how we get paid as advisors, whether the advisor's getting paid on commission or paid on an AUM model. Um, it, a lot of times it's saying, hey, if you don't have $50,000 to invest with me, I can't serve you. Um, a lot of advisors are very specific niche, like we're only going to do taxes or we're only going to do retirees that are 3 to 5 years away from retirement and beyond. Um, and so I thought, I want to help create clients. I want to help create wealth. And so I don't have a minimum. Um, I don't have a requirement that you show up with $200 a month to invest. You could come in with a very small couple $1,000 401k rollover, and we can serve you, right?
It's me.
Yes,
That was me.
we can serve you. Now, I don't want to say that we're not going to make money, because we are a business and we have to make money in order to stay in business, but we're not going to turn anyone away because they're just getting started. In fact, those are our favorite, some of our favorite clients, ones that are getting started, because we can help you grow, um, and serve you from ground zero to, hopefully when you're passing on a couple $1 million to the next generation or next charity, or whatever it is.
I love that. I love that you saw that there was a need out there that wasn't being filled, and you went out there and just did it yourself. That's
Yes,
so
ma'am.
tenacious and so bold. And more people need to get out there and do that. Y'all, if you see a need and you don't see a way to fill that need, then be a way to go after that and be able to fill that need. So, one thing that I am really fascinated by and that really draws me to Financial Serenity above other investing firms is that you have a vision and you have this big, hairy, audacious goal, and you're using it for the kingdom of God. So tell us more about that.
Sure. So I'm going to add another G into that. So for your listeners, a BHAG, or big, hairy, audacious goal, is something that's been around for a couple of decades. But my pastor, I'm not going to take credit for adding the extra G, but it's a big, hairy, audacious God goal. And it's something that, gosh, I forget exactly how he phrases it, but it's something that honors God. It's noble enough to pursue, and it's something that I could devote my entire life to. Those are the three basic things. And so I've got three BHAGs. I'm going to focus on one of them. And the one that I'm focusing on the most is, I want Financial Serenity to grow within the next 19 and a half years. So it's August of 2043, to have $1 trillion in assets under management in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through ETFs that we curate, or directly with our clients, through a custodian. And the goal of that is not just to have a lot of money under management, because there are lots of companies out there that have lots of assets under management. The goal behind the goal is, when you invest in the stock market, you are investing in companies, and many times you get to vote what we call a proxy share, or you get to vote your shares. If your advisor is voting it, it's called a proxy share. If your mutual fund company is voting it, it's a proxy share. If you go and buy 100 shares of Apple Corporation, and you vote your shares, it's a very, very small impact that you have. You go to a fund manager like Fidelity or Vanguard or BlackRock, and they vote the proxy shares, it has impact. And so that's our goal, is to be able to help Christians vote in public companies in a meaningful way, and saying and having an impact, creating God's kingdom here on earth, and saying, hey, we don't like what you're doing here. And is it okay if I give an example, Tracy? And this is,
Absolutely.
it's a pretty risque example. And I'm not going to name any companies, but there's one particular company that hosts, they have web services, and they host like something like 70% of the pornography on the internet. It's a very large company. It's a publicly traded company. Pornography is the number one leading cause of human trafficking, especially for little girls and young women. And not just girls, though, boys too. And so by default, if you are hosting pornography, you are helping facilitate human trafficking. And this particular company, I use them. I buy stuff from them. I'm not saying that don't use them as a company, but I'm saying, hey, let's be more aware of all the different types of services that we're offering. And from an investor standpoint, if we could sit back and say, hey, we own 3% of your company, where we get to vote 3% of the shares, that's a huge impact to say, board of directors do XYZ, right? And that's the goal behind having that $1 trillion in AUM. That's the big, hairy, audacious goal. It's not just to have a lot of money under management, but it is to go out and have influence and impact in the world more than just investing and getting a return on your investment.
So just to recap, basically what you're saying is the more assets that Financial Serenity has, the more assets, the more people that you serve, the more money that's in Financial Serenity, the more votes you guys get to have. So you're going to pursue different companies with the intention of having those votes of the board of directors to put believers, Christians, people of good moral character on those boards to be able to influence the world.
Yes.
That takes investment to a whole nother level. And that was one thing that I loved about our conversation, was because at first it was like, hey, I want to have great returns so that way I can like go out there and invest in generosity and in the kingdom. But while it's sitting in that Roth IRA, it can still have an impact. And that just blew my mind and just made me really excited.
When I came to that realization maybe a year or so ago, it was maybe 2 years ago now. It was super exciting. It was like, oh my gosh, we could actually do something more, right? Yes, like you said, yes, we're going to pursue great returns based on the individual investor's goals, right? Can't guarantee anything, not going to guarantee anything, but we're going to pursue growth for our investors. But what else can we do? What other impact can we do? Can we have in the economy, in the environment? And so yeah, it's super exciting.
So part of our goals that we have as coaches, at least Christian coaches, Ian is a fellow, well, a former Ramsey preferred coach, same principles, same values. One of the things that we love to do is help Christians align their finances with their faith and their core values, and be able to use their finances in a way that glorifies the kingdom of God. And this just takes that to a whole nother level. It takes stewardship to a different level.
It's exactly what it is. It is stewardship of what God has given us. God gave us the earth to steward it, and that can come in many ways, right? Let's not pollute the earth. Let's do better at recycling plastic so they don't end up in a big Texas-sized glob of crud in the ocean. Let's do better all the way around and steward our finances well. It starts with a budget, but it goes much beyond that.
Ian, what are some of the hurdles that you're facing in pursuing this?
Ooh. First of all, growth, right? There are certain goals that we will have to meet before we have an impact, right? Before we can truly sit back and say, hey, we are having an impact. We need to grow as a company. We need to get better at marketing and advertising ourselves, and sharing the vision and growing our clients' assets, or growing our clients and growing their assets along the way. One of the other big challenges, what does God's kingdom look like on earth, right? I have my own opinions, Some of them I truly believe are the absolutely correct way, but it can't just be me and what I think God's kingdom should look like. And so I'm actively pursuing people that ask questions of the Bible, of God, of what does evangelism look like here on this earth. Um, and so I've created a nonprofit. I call it hashtag Be Salty. Um, be salty based off of Matthew 5:13, be the salt of the earth, right? If you lose your saltiness, what good are you but to be trampled underfoot? And so, um, first time I read that, it's like, oh man, that's hit hard. And then, read it again and read it again and read it again. I'm thinking to myself, okay, but what is Jesus really calling us is to be the salt of the earth. And so to go out into the world. And so through hashtag Be Salty, through the nonprofit, that is where the direction for voting the proxies will come from. I'm working towards creating a board of directors of influential individuals, of theologians, of Bible scholars, of regular human beings, so that it's not financial serenity voting the proxy shares. We are receiving guidance from a third party that has a lot of input of what that looks like. And ultimately, even if you don't invest with us, that guidance will still be available for other people to follow.
So you're not just holding it close to the chest and saying it's mine. This hashtag Be Salty would be for any investment firm who wants to go after similar missions.
Ultimately, our goal is to make it easy by creating things like mutual funds or ETFs that another financial advisor could easily invest their clients' assets into it.
Mhm.
Um, but you have people that, hey, I just want to go vote my own shares.
Mhm.
Um, so hashtag Be Salty will be that kind of research department, so to speak, of saying, hey, what are we going out and doing? And lots of challenges there. Challenges I don't even know what they are yet, but I know it has to be separate from financial serenity in order to protect both parties.
And I love that you're building that system of checks and balances in there because, not going to lie, when you were describing this, and I was thinking about like, okay, so who's going to be like the deciding factor of what companies y'all are going to invest in? Like, and then you said that you have a third party doing it. It's like, okay, that that creates some space and some objectivity to be so that way you can focus on your mission and they're also doing the important work of what needs to happen over here.
Yes. I am
Awesome.
a huge fan of checks and balances. I think our founding fathers of our great country had a masterful plan of creating
Mhm.
multiple checks and balances within our government. And so I'm carrying that same concept here.
Mhm. Awesome. So, Ian, is there anything else that you wish that people who were investing or thinking about investing knew?
Hmm, such a great question. I think it begins with starting, right? You could sit back and be very afraid of investing, learn as much as you can. If you don't know enough or you don't understand enough, get somebody on your team that can help teach you. But start. Um, I'm a huge nerd. I'm always going Back to the Future on this. And Doc Brown says to Marty McFly, he says, "You're not thinking fourth dimensionally. Time equals change.
Mhm.
If you invest now, 10 years from now, it's going to be different. I can't guarantee that it will be invested more, But let's look at the history of investments, and in almost every single 10-year history period of history, investments go up. Yes,
Mhm.
it's a roller coaster along the way, but investments increase over time. And in fact, I just read a little news report that there are some economists saying that in 10 years the S&P 500 will be 15,000 and the Dow will be 100,000.
So for
That's
those of us who aren't hardcore investment nerds, what does that mean?
so the S&P 500 uh, is Standard and Poor's 500 is a index of the 500 largest companies in America, give or take. It's not exact, but they get added and subtracted based on their growth. And so if you invest in the 500 largest companies, by default, right, if a company grows exponentially, you have a Netflix 20 years ago was not on the S&P 500. Now they are because they are quite large. Um, but they were virtually unknown 20, 25 years ago. And so it's saying that in the next 10 years, they're expecting that the 500 largest companies will basically triple in size from where they're at right now. That's substantial.
So does that mean that the potential for your investments to triple in 10 years is probable?
It's possible.
Possible. I like that.
I want to be very cautious in saying it's possible. Yes. It's not guaranteed, but it is possible if you have a plan, if you start now. It depends on your behaviors. It depends on how many times you get afraid and you hop out of the market because it dropped 30%, and then you wait for it to rebound and it's 15% higher than when you hopped out, and then you buy it and it's near the peak and you sell again. And so your behaviors desperately matter, because there's the return of the investment and there's the return of the investment, the client
Mhm.
return. And so um, I could keep going on that path, but
So, Ian, how do people get in contact with you or with one of the advisors at Financial Serenity for their investment needs?
so you can find us on LinkedIn. Um, right now, we're a team of 4 advisors. So there's myself, Seth Russ, who I've already mentioned, Sandra Park, and Logan Thomas. You can find us all on LinkedIn. You can find Financial Serenity on LinkedIn, or you can go to financialserenity.co, not .com, and connect with us there.
Mhm.
Do your due diligence, research our company, research each advisor, check out all 4 of us and say, hey, I connect more with this individual than I do with this one. Um, I have my full faith in all of the advisors on this team. I hope to continue to grow this team over the next several years. I'll have to grow the team in order to hit that BHAG. Um, but yeah, so those are the best ways to connect with us.
Awesome. So, to recap, guys, the reason why I brought Ian on is just because his mission is so powerful, and he expanded my thinking about investments beyond anything that I had even dreamed about. Investing is not just about what you can do with your money once it's retirement time, but what can your money do to make the world a better place while it's still in those accounts? And Ian has this vision of using those investments to buy shares in companies, to be able to have a say on who goes into the board of those companies, so that there is a Christian and godly influence on those companies to further the kingdom of God. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Ian, thank you so much for joining me today. It was an honor to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.